Hi, I'd like to demonstrate how we might use some readily available tools such as PowerPoint to create a mock-up that could be used for creating applications. Now, what I'm going to demonstrate today works just as well for mocking up a mobile application as it does for doing a website. But right now I'll do a website. Okay, so let's imagine that we wanted to make a website that was dedicated to barbecuing. And the kind of barbecue website we wanted to make is a typical WordPress type site where there's a big giant banner across the top of the screen and some text underneath. So one thing I could do then is just go out to the internet and I'm going to do a search for barbecue. So pull out some images and let's just see if we can find something that looks good. Okay, that looks like a good barbecue image to me. I'm going to right click on there and say copy and then go back to this. I will say paste. All right, so now that it's here, I'm going to change its dimensions so that it fills. Okay, so that one doesn't look so great as I stretch it, but it gives you the general idea of how we might do this. Just copy something from somewhere else. Okay, now I need some buttons to click on. So let's go up here and let's just say that we need to be able to log into this site. And on this particular site, I am going to call it Dave's Barbecue Sauce, but I'm going to have him sell barbecue sauce on this website. So I'm going to put a little button here that's, and then I'm going to double click on here and I'm going to say Browse Store. Okay, well, I don't really particularly like the color of this button, so I'm going to right click on it and a little bit lower than you can see is an option that says Format Shape. And from the fill color, I will try to select something that is going to be, sorry, that the pictures are a little bit off the side of the screen there, but I'm just going to select something that seems to match or coordinate with the colors that are in the picture above, because as a designer we probably want all of our pictures and our buttons to somehow be complementary. Alright, I mentioned before I was going to call it Dave's Barbecue Store, so I'll do a text box and I'll say Dave's Barbecue. And then of course we could make it bigger or smaller. We could add in other shapes like lines and put colors in there and put text anywhere. But at a high level, this is how we could mock up something. Well, that went relatively quickly, so let's show another example of how we might do something like this. I'm going to go back over to the internet again, and I'm going to say, let's give me an iPad. All right, and again, looking at iPad images. This isn't the only way to do this, but I want to just pick an iPad alone. All right, there's my iPad. I'm going to paste that onto my screen, nice and big. Now what I want to pretend at this point is I'm going to be creating an application that is an iPad application. So one of the things I want to do first is I want to get rid of the stuff that's right there. So I'll just put a box over where the screen goes, and then I'll say Format Shape, and over on the right hand side, rather than it being blue, I'll make it white. And so now I have a nice clean canvas on which to draw. Okay, so now we pretend that we're doing some type of site. Perhaps it's something like Uber or some driving app. We're probably going to have across the top, let's pretend like we're mocking up some driving application. I don't know why we're driving with our iPad rather than our phone, but whatever. So I'm going to change the color of this to green. And let's just say that I needed some type of icon, like an arrow on here. Generally, any kind of icon you want, you can Google. So you can just say, like arrow icon. Maybe I want a white arrow icon. I could probably do it. Let's do a white arrow icon. Okay. I can't promise because of the way these images are built that they're all going to work perfectly. But I'm just going to grab one of these and hope. So I'm going to say paste. All right, so it's pretty big, so I can rotate it first of all. And it's not transparent like I'd like it to be. But I don't have time to search for the right kind at this particular moment. All right, I'll put a little text box on here and I'll say something like go north 40 miles, and I will make this, I'd like to make it white, so I will change the font to white and I'll make it a little bigger. So normally I would select very pretty icons or make them transparent in some way so they look just right. Another thing that I can do is paste in pieces of maps. So let's go back to Google again. And I'm going to grab a screenshot of part of the screen. So let's just do maps.google.com, and I want to go to Spain. All right, so I'm just gonna arbitrarily zoom in somewhere in Spain and pretend I'm driving around. All right, so I want to take a screenshot of an arrow, or of an area. Now, the keyboard shortcuts are a little bit different depending on which computer you're on. I happen to be on a Mac, and I know what those commands are. So I'm just saying, hey, grab a little screenshot of an area. Click paste. There we go. And so now I have a little image that would fit right there. And if there's other things that need to go into this driving application, I could fill it in at the bottom. So I'd probably, potentially I need something that's black. So I'll fill it in with black, and I'll put in some additional text and icons and things like that. So after I've created one page like this, if it's a series of pages in an app, I could just right click over here and say duplicate slide, and then I could start making modifications to them. So whether it's a series of web pages or a series of application pages, you can use a tool like PowerPoint to mock them up very close to what they could look like in their final form. And one of the nice things about using a presentation tool like this, or you can use the free Google version of a presentation software online. One of the nice things about these types of software is that everybody has access to it. So if you share it with somebody, and perhaps a client, and they're like, oh, I don't like green, they could literally click on it themselves and change something, change it to a different color, and then send it back to you. So this is just one way of doing mockups.